Thank you for the interesting talk, Ms. King. My name is Grace Rafini. I'm a junior here at Swickley Academy and a part of the TEDx Youth Club this year. I am honored to introduce another influential member of our community, Mr. Donta Green. Donta is a collaborator who strives for excellence. One of his passions is workforce development. As the executive director of the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh, he has helped provide services that enable people with barriers to employment to find sustainable jobs that showcase their talents and skills. He serves on the Laurel Highlands Workforce Opportunity Center's Board of Directors, which offers no-cost, career-focused training for healthcare jobs. His passion and commitment have enabled the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh to be a shining star in workforce development and economic progress. After graduating from Indiana University of Pennsylvania with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, Donta worked in the Allegheny County Public Defender's Office. As a juvenile ombudsman advocating for youth rights in the justice and foster care systems, he pursued another issue he is very passionate about: youth mentorship. Donta serves as the head football coach at Pittsburgh Westinghouse, his alma mater, where he motivates the team and has built a winning spirit, winning 5 conference championships and making the state championship. Donta has been recognized extensively for his efforts. He has been named on the Pittsburgh Magazine's 40 Under 40 list, and in 2022, he was awarded the FBI Director's Community Leadership Award. This honors those who have made significant contributions to crime prevention, education, and community service. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Donta Green.
So I know I only have 8 to 10 minutes to talk, so if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to jump right in. The next 10 minutes, 2 inner city youth will lose their lives to gun violence. In the next 10 minutes, 3 students, 3 young people, will enter into the foster care system. In the next 3 minutes, dozens of kids from all over the world will die because of starvation, because of not having access to food and clear water. In the next 10 minutes, countless people will lose hope. And unfortunately, some will make the silent decision to take their own lives. You may ask, what does that have to do with giving back? But luckily, I'm prepared today to answer that question. Each of those unfortunate realities are heavily dependent on the right person at the right time with the proper approach to intervene. Giving back is a term that is commonly used. When I would hear that term, I used to think about helping people, doing good. I used to think about making a change, making a difference. But I've learned good intentions alone doesn't guarantee effectiveness. Actually, most times, the way we show up to serve is the very thing that determines our impact. So my hope is that if you stick with me for the next 9 minutes, that you will have a different perspective on what it means to give back the right way. God has truly blessed me with the opportunity to serve our region in a way that I could have never dreamed of. I have an opportunity to serve at an organization that empowers adults to transform their lives every single day. 100+ individuals every single year. I have the opportunity to be a coach, mentor, father figure, big brother to some of the most brilliant but complex scholars that our state has to offer. And the tallest task of them all is I have to deal with my wife every single day. But in all seriousness, these 2 assignments has a unique intersection in our community that gives me an interesting perspective on service. Because of the grace of God, these service missions have been wildly successful, which is probably why I was asked to come here and speak to you all this morning. But to your surprise, I'm not coming as a community leader. I'm not coming as a leader of this organization. I'm not coming as a coach. I am standing here today as a product and a recipient of service done the right way. Before I had direction, before I had discipline, before I had a vision for my life, I had a village of people show up for me in my life. But today, I'm going to talk about one individual. And that individual I will refer to as my person showed me what giving back truly is. Full disclaimer, I can only speak about the things that I know. So all I'm going to talk about is giving back to people. So if you're serious about giving back, to me, there are a few questions that you have to ask yourself. Now, I'll be honest, these questions are not always easy. And sometimes the answer to those questions are even harder to accept for yourself. But the first question is, how well do I listen? When serving others, you need to listen like they are the expert, because they are. This reminds me of the parable, very famous parable of the missionary when he was in a foreign country, and he seen that the locals didn't have enough food to eat. So his idea was, you know what, I'm gonna go back to my homeland and I'm gonna bring some seeds. I'm gonna bring the best tools I have, and I'm gonna plant these seeds, and I'm gonna tend meticulously to the crops. That way we'll have an abundance of crops and I'll be able to feed the entire village. He brought the seeds back, he planted them, nothing grew. Everything he put in the ground died. After hours and hours upon hours of trying to figure out why he was not able to grow these crops, he did the smart thing. Turned to the locals and said, hey, what is going on here? Why can't I grow these crops? And then the locals simply said, well, first of all, the seeds that you brought, they don't mesh well with the nutrients that are in our soil. Secondly, our climate suggests a different planting cycle because it's different than where those seeds came from. And lastly, the crops that you're trying to grow, they just don't grow here. We don't have it. So I say that to say the moral of that story is you cannot impose solutions when you don't know the full context, when you don't understand. So turn to the experts before thinking of service. One of the out of the hours that me and my person would spend together, he listened probably 70% of the time, just to get an understanding of who I was and where I was. That made me feel seen, that made me feel heard, that made me feel valued. So the point here is that the people we serve are the masters of their own struggle, and it is our responsibility to listen. Question number 2, am I willing to meet people where they are? The goal is not to be the hero in someone's life. My person made me feel like we were in the struggle together. I had a true companion during the most challenging moments in my life. I never felt that my person was above sitting with me in my mess. And to me, that was extremely powerful. The people we serve are going to have some challenging circumstances, but it is our responsibility to meet them where they are. The last and final question that I believe everybody who wants to serve should ask themselves: are you willing to sacrifice your comfort? This question is layered, but in my experience, was probably the most profound. My person, when I was in middle school and high school, my person would take me to this restaurant, and at least weekly, and we would sit down and talk, and we would talk about life. And honestly, I believe it's probably the greatest childhood moments, part of the greatest childhood moments that I can recall. So when I got to college, I was coming home after my first year, and I reached out to my person, and I said, hey, I'll be home for the summer. Can we meet in the next couple of weeks for lunch or dinner at our spot? A person picked up the phone and called me at the time, and he said, Donta, I have something to tell you. He said, the only reason I went to that restaurant with you is because we had the most transformative moments in that space. He said, but something that you don't know is that 15 years ago, my son was murdered in that restaurant. But I did not want to give up. I did not want to put my own feelings in front of our mission because I felt like those moments we're needed for you. The people we serve are not to fulfill us. We are to show up for them. If your service is centered in how it makes you feel, then you've already have missed the mark. So when you hear giving back from this point forward, I want you to think differently. It's about how you listen. It's about how you show up. It's about whether the people you're trying to serve actually feel seen in the process. So don't start with what can I give? Start with what do I need to understand? And what am I willing to sacrifice? Because the impact you make in this world will never be defined by how much you do, but how well you understand the people you're doing it for. And if you get that right, your service is a much greater chance of being impactful. And that's the type of service that shapes and reshapes our communities. Thank you.